when you can truly tap into that and realize that I can rewire my mind and rewrite the story that I've been telling myself and learn to live a completely different lifestyle, being a completely different person. When you can realize that, it makes it so much easier to work through these. Hey guys, what's up? What's going on? My name is Sabrina and welcome back to my channel where we talk about everything positive mindset, personal development, and just creating a version of yourself and a life that you love. And in today's video, I'm not only going to be talking about the secret to uncover your limiting beliefs, but also how to transmute your limiting beliefs into a positive belief that serves you and makes your life a lot easier. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up to help out the channel. Feel free to subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this. Follow me on Instagram if you want. I do try to get back to all of my DMs. And without further ado, let's get into this video. Now, when we're working to uncover your limiting beliefs, I want you guys to take a look at your life because our beliefs create our reality because of the way our minds work, which I'll explain in a bit, but our beliefs create a reality. So look at the reality you're living. How are your relationships? What is your career looking like? Are you happy in your job? Does life feel like a struggle? Does life feel very chaotic? That's how I used to live. How are your friendships? How do you feel on a day-to-day basis? And if you really want to take this to the next level, I highly suggest you journal out like an unbiased viewpoint of what your life looks like and how you feel, because this will give you a better idea of what limiting beliefs you're working with. And not only taking note of the reality you're living right now, but I also want you guys to think about, how was your childhood? Was your childhood chaotic? Is there anything that stands out to you in your childhood and how you were raised? Like, were your parents really penny pinchers? Did your parents not show you the love that you feel like you needed? Was there a certain incident or circumstance that made you feel a certain way? And pause this video if you need to, but write down everything, just brain dump all of the things that may be a limiting belief that may possibly contribute to the reality that isn't so great right now. And the reason I bring up childhood is because, and I probably have mentioned this in a few other videos before, but it's very interesting to just know the science behind it, because from the ages of 0 to 7, our subconscious minds, which are the area of our minds that control 95 to 99% of our daily actions, this part of our minds are wide open at this age, and we absorb everything as our truth. And so say that somebody like an adult calls you stupid or calls you lazy between those ages, you don't question it. That logical, analytical, frontal lobe part of your brain hasn't been formed yet. And so you don't question it, you just accept it as your truth. And then that becomes a belief that is instilled into your mind. And then that belief then becomes your rule book. And all of your beliefs create this story of how you live your life, what life is and how you relate to life. And they become our truth. We live by this rule book. And anytime that we see something that is outside of our rule book, we don't identify with it. We say, that's not how life is. That's not how I am. I'm lazy. I can't stay consistent with the gym. And our minds actually subliminally pick up so many things that go on in our life. And so if we see like our parents fighting, for example, we start to interpret that as love is mean, or love is painful, or love equals arguing, or love equals fighting. We come up with these meanings for life and they become our rule book. And so then when we get older and that conscious part of our mind forms, that logical analytical part of our brain, the subconscious mind, whether we are aware of it or not, is still controlling 95 to 90% of our actions, our thoughts, our beliefs, our automatic reactions. And say that you keep attracting toxic relationships and relationships that low-key remind you of your parents' relationship, of all the fighting, maybe abuse, who knows, but you keep attracting these similar circumstances. It's because that is a part of your rule book. That's because you subconsciously, whether you are aware of it or not, believe that that is how life is. And so you live by that and you act by that, and that becomes your truth. And a lot of times it's not a fun truth. And so the first step in uncovering your limiting beliefs is just observing your life and observing your childhood and realizing, where might these have stemmed from? And really just questioning things. Instead of being on that automatic reaction all the time, just start questioning, does life really have to be like this? And a lot of times we argue for our beliefs. So for example, the very common belief that money is hard to come by, or that you have to work really, really hard to make money. It's really easy to argue this and say, no, I've never experienced this. That's the only thing that I've seen in my life is people having to work really, really hard for money. And so that's just how life is. That's just the rules that we have to live by. But you know it's not a set in stone, 100% concrete belief when there is an outlier. If there is at least one other person out of a million people, if there is at least one other person that doesn't live by that rule, that doesn't live by that circumstance, that doesn't live by that belief system, you know that it's just a belief system and it's not actual concrete truth. When it's not true 100% of the time to 100% of the people. And so that's really when you can start questioning and being like, do I have to live by this? And you don't have to necessarily pinpoint where this limiting belief may have come from, but looking at your childhood, it may become easier to realize where it came from, and it may be easier to mentally detach from that, because that's how we start to loosen that grip to the limiting belief. So first we identify the limiting belief and we realize that it's there. That is already over half of the work, because then we aren't just living by these automatic beliefs, we're actually aware. It's not automatic, we're actually conscious of this now. So when we become aware of them, then we can learn to break it down. Imagine that your limiting belief is like a tabletop, and it's held together by the table legs, right? Or it's held stable by the table legs. And these table legs is the evidence that that belief is true. And obviously, if we have a belief about something, we've most likely seen multiple cases of evidence that it's true just because of the way our minds work. When we have a belief about something, our mind tries to pinpoint everything that confirms that belief. Our minds work like a confirmation bias. And so what we want to do to break that limiting belief is to start chopping the table legs off. Start to question the evidence and also find evidence that that belief doesn't have to be true 100% of the time. For the example that money is hard to come by, maybe find some people that make money really effortlessly, and not necessarily because of their parents or whatever, but find people who started investing in things and money just flows into their life very easily. You may have to dig a bit, because since our minds work like a confirmation bias and it's running by this old belief system, it may be a little more difficult to find. But when you start finding that evidence that that belief isn't true 100% of the time, you start to break those table legs. And when you put more of your focus and attention on that evidence that disproves that limiting belief, you start to rewire the way your mind works. And because our mind is like a confirmation bias, the more you start to focus your attention on those scenarios that money comes into our life easily and effortlessly, you start to see more and more situations like that. You start to run into people who make more and more money, and you're like, wow, I never knew so many wealthy people lived by me. I never knew you could make money doing this and doing that and doing all these different things. And then when you start to see the evidence in other places of your life, it's more of a confirmation that it's also coming to you as well. So you can use this for any belief that you may have that comes up for you. Just twist it around and use it in your own personal scenario. I'm just using money because money is a very common limiting belief that people struggle with, and that I have also greatly struggled with in the past, if you know my story. But start to find that evidence that that belief doesn't have to be true 100% of the time. And also ask yourself, what belief do I want to believe? Because really, our life is like a blank, or life itself is like a blank piece of paper, right? And we get to write the rules. Life has no rules itself. We get to write the rules. We get to create whatever it is that we want. And when you truly realize that, when you can truly tap into that and realize that I can rewire my mind and rewrite the story that I've been telling myself, and learn to live a completely different lifestyle, being a completely different person, literally attracting whatever I want, that is truly possible. That's a thing. When you can realize that, it makes it so much easier to work through these. And so really find evidence of that new belief system. Even if you can only find it in one person, even if you need to use me for an example for how I completely transformed out of depression and anxiety, and I now am very happy and feel a lot of inner peace, or just find anyone that exudes that lifestyle that you want to live and focus on them, direct your attention to them. Really think to yourself, this is possible. If it's possible for them, it's possible for me too, and really start to put more and more of your attention on that. And when you see something that agrees with your limiting belief, consciously deflect it. Consciously say, that doesn't have to be my life. I'm witnessing this, but I'm not accepting this as my own. And that's how you, again, start to rewire that brain thinking pattern and rewire those beliefs in your mind. But that's it that I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you liked it, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up to help with the channel. Feel free to subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this. Follow me on Instagram if you want to see more. Share this video with anyone you feel may want to hear it, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.